Hopes for a diplomatic breakthrough between the United States and Iran have suffered another setback. President Donald Trump has swiftly rejected Tehran's response to a U.S. peace proposal, sending oil prices sharply higher and raising fresh fears that the conflict could drag on. With shipping through the Strait of Hormuz still heavily disrupted, the standoff is continuing to rattle global energy markets and deepen uncertainty across the Middle East. Days after Washington presented a proposal aimed at restarting negotiations, Iran formally responded on Sunday. According to Iranian media, Tehran's response focused on ending the war on all fronts, particularly in Lebanon, where Israel continues to battle the Iran-backed Hezbollah group. Iran also demanded compensation for war damage and reiterated its claim of sovereignty over the Strait of Hormuz. In addition, Tehran called on the United States to end its naval blockade, guarantee that no further attacks would take place, lift sanctions, and remove restrictions on Iranian oil exports. Within hours, President Donald Trump dismissed the proposal. In a post on Truth Social, he wrote, "I don't like it, totally unacceptable." Trump did not elaborate. Oil prices rose by $3 a barrel on Monday after Trump rejected Iran's response. The increase reflected growing concerns that the 10-week conflict will continue and keep the Strait of Hormuz largely closed to normal shipping. Before the war, the narrow waterway handled around 1/5 of the world's oil supply. Its disruption has become one of the central pressure points in the conflict. The war is becoming increasingly unpopular among American voters. Surveys show concern is rising as gasoline prices climb sharply, less than 6 months before nationwide elections that will determine whether Trump's Republican Party retains control of Congress. The United States has also struggled to secure international backing. Several NATO allies have declined requests to send naval forces to reopen the Strait of Hormuz without a comprehensive peace agreement and an internationally mandated mission. President Trump is expected to arrive in Beijing on Wednesday. With pressure mounting to end both the war and the energy crisis it has triggered, Iran is expected to be a major topic in his talks with Chinese President Xi Jinping. Trump has been urging China to use its influence over Tehran to help push for a deal. Asked whether the military campaign against Iran was over, Trump said, "They are defeated, but that doesn't mean they're done." Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu also said the conflict is not over. He said there was still more work to be done to remove Iran's enriched uranium, dismantle its nuclear facilities, and address its ballistic missile program and regional allies. In an interview with CBS News 60 Minutes, Netanyahu said diplomacy would be the best way to deal with Iran's enriched uranium, but he stopped short of ruling out military action.
Is the war with Iran over? And if it isn't, who will decide when it is?
I think it accomplished a great deal, but it's not over because there's still nuclear material, enriched uranium that has to be taken out of Iran. There's still enrichment sites that have to be dismantled. There's still proxies that Iran supports. There are ballistic missiles that they still want to produce. Now, we've degraded a lot of it, but all of that is still there, and there's work to be done.
How do you envision the highly enriched uranium will be removed from Iran?
You go in and you take it out.
With what? Special forces from Israel, special forces from the United States?
Well, I'm not going to talk about military means, but what President Trump has said to me, I want to go in there. And I think it can be done physically. That's not the problem. If you have an agreement and you go in and you take it out, why not? That's the best way.
What if there isn't an agreement? Can it be taken out by force?
Well, you're going to ask me these questions. I'm going to dodge them because I'm not going to talk about our military possibilities, plans, or anything of the kind.
And I'm just trying to get at how long is it going to take to achieve that aim?
I'm not going to give a timetable to it, but I'm going to say that's a terrifically important mission.
Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian said Tehran would never bow down to the enemy and would continue to defend the country's national interests. Despite ongoing diplomatic efforts, the threat to shipping lanes and regional economies remains high. Recent days have seen some of the most intense clashes around the Strait of Hormuz since the ceasefire began. On Sunday, the United Arab Emirates said it intercepted 2 drones launched from Iran. Qatar condemned a drone strike on a cargo vessel in its waters. Kuwait said its air defenses had intercepted hostile drones that entered its airspace. Meanwhile, clashes have continued in southern Lebanon between Israel and Hezbollah despite a US-brokered ceasefire announced in April. Netanyahu said even if the conflict with Iran ends, that would not necessarily bring an end to fighting in Lebanon. He also acknowledged that Israeli planners had initially underestimated Iran's ability to disrupt shipping through the Strait of Hormuz. It took a while for them to understand how big that risk is, he said, which they understand now. For now, diplomacy remains stalled, tensions remain high, and the global economy remains exposed to every development in the Gulf. With oil prices rising and military threats continuing across the region, the prospects for a lasting peace are as uncertain as ever.